This is Ben, Liam and Belle on Nova.
Well, good day there, podcaster. It's Belle here. No Ben and Liam today. It's International Women's Day. So I hosted the show, hosted but had an array of co-hosts coming through. In the 6 a.m. hour, I was hosting alongside Ash Gardner.
Oh, hello. It was so great being in studio with you because we could get
really
up close
nice.
and personal. Normally I'm on the other side. So it was so nice to hang out.
And so you joined 6 till 7 and then 7 till 8 a.m. I had Bridget Hustwaite.
Hey, I want to say good day because you kind of had a mix of good day and good day there.
Yeah,
is that a thing?
The start of the podcast normally every day, Ben will go, "Good day there, podcaster." So I just wanted to give my own
For the
little
record,
flair.
that's not how I sound, Belle.
Turn your mic off, Ben. Let's make
Yeah,
girls
go away. So you were co-hosting from 7 till 8, and then bless your soul, you hung around because Georgie Tunny hosted from 8 till 9. But you hung around, you had a coffee.
You guys fed me, so I say free brekkie.
So now we're all here. So it makes sense that we introduce the podcast today. So a bit of behind the scenes. I mean, I was so friggin' nervous this morning. Well, last night. I was just saying before, I didn't sleep last night because.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because I was just like, oh my God, what if I don't do it justice? What if people listen and they're like, what if I just don't do International Women's Day justice?
Well,
You're
you slayed
actually
it.
crazy, Belle.
I
You're
hope
so crazy.
But I hope you guys had fun as well because it was really, really lovely to, Bridget, we've said all morning, but we've never hosted together
Yeah.
before. So that was new, which was nice.
Also, we did community, we didn't cross paths, but we both
Yes.
did the same community radio
We've
training.
pretty much had the same,
You presented before, you can talk, Belle, you can talk.
And Ash, it was so good getting to know you better because we've only had a few months working together. And like you said, you're normally over in the news booth, so we don't really speak much. But you will hear in this episode, we dive deep into Ash's insane sporting life outside of radio. And it is, you're an absolute inspiration, seriously.
It's the reason I drink so much coffee.
Yeah, but I go home and nap, and Ash goes home and runs a friggin' marathon.
There's no time in the day for naps. Only coffee and
Oh my
running.
God, I'm literally going to go home and nap.
Well, enjoy this episode. It is just me, no boys, but they'll be back tomorrow.
Ben, Liam and Belle celebrating International Women's Day. You ready?
Good morning, and yes, happy International Women's Day.
Fast die young, bad girls do it well.
It's just me, Belle, flying, semi-solo all this morning until 9 a.m. I'm going to be joined all morning by an array of different guests. I've got some of my favourite women in the media joining me every hour. 7 till 8 this morning, Bridget Hustwaite, you might know from Triple J. She's an author, podcaster, joining me. 8 till 9 a.m, I'm going to be joined by Georgie Tunny from The Project. We're going to have heaps of guests, but right now, 6 till 7, I'm joined by Ash Gardner. Good morning.
Good morning, Belle. Thanks for having me.
And if you're wondering who's doing the buttons and playing all the sound effects still, it's Ben.
Yes, good morning.
So Ben's steering the ship technically buttons-wise. Liam is out on the phones all morning. So if you call in to the show for anything we're doing, you might actually get Liam picking up the phones. But Ash will be here till 7 a.m. I've dragged you in from the newsroom into here. And it's so lovely having you in the studio with me.
It is so nice. Normally I'm just across the way looking at you guys in studio. So it's so nice to be in the mix in here.
When you're all the way over in that studio, I don't have a button to talk to you.
No.
We just I just look over and go, oh, Ash liked that one. She's laughing.
Lots of hand signals.
Look for Holiday U this summer. Because Aussies act a little differently on holiday. More daring, relaxed, and sometimes more fancy.
And What If has all kinds of accommodation to suit your style.
Yep, book your next getaway on the What If app. What If? It's Aussie for travel. It's 6:10. Hallelujah, it's 6:10.
Good morning, Tara in Merrypor. How are you spending International Women's Day?
I'll be working today.
That's all good. What do you do for work?
I work in disability support.
Nice.
Oh, good on you, Tara.
All right, well, Tara, if you do win all the questions, you get tickets to Lord, and you also get to pick the next song we play. So let's kick it off.
Tara, happy International Women's Day. Who's your favourite woman?
That's a very hard question. My favourite woman would probably be my mum.
Correct. Well done. It's a hard one.
You could say your mum or either Ash or myself, and we would have said correct. The MCG has been completely resurfaced after the Ed Sheeran gigs last week. Which late cricketer has an MCG stand named after him? Don't think about it too hard.
Shane Warne.
Yes.
Correct.
You are killing it, Tara. Model Gigi Hadid has admitted she's a Nepo baby. What's her sister's name?
Oh, I have no idea. Sorry.
So-and-so Hadid. Who else? There's Gigi Hadid and who Hadid?
Emmy?
Oh, sorry, Tara. That's all good. Jack in Ringwood East. What is Gigi Hadid's sister's name?
I would not have a clue.
Oh, no. Let's go to Duncan in Lara.
Duncan, what's Gigi Hadid's sister's name?
Bella, isn't it?
Well done, Duncan.
Didn't think you were going to get that, Duncan.
No.
I'm sorry to assume that. 13 24 10. We've still got phone lines free if you want to give a buzz. All right, The Last of Us has had 8 million viewers this week, Duncan. How many digits are in a million?
7.
Duncan,
good.
you're going strong. Okay, Avril Lavigne has confirmed her relationship with Tiger. Can you finish these lyrics?
He was a skater boy. She said, see you later, boy. He wasn't good enough for her.
He was a skater boy. She said, see you later, boy.
I don't think there's a part that repeats it. I don't think there is. I'm sorry, Duncan. Nick in Bundura, can you please finish these lyrics?
He was a skater boy. She said, see you later, boy. He wasn't good enough for her.
She had a pretty face.
Yeah.
Her head was up his face.
Yeah. That is one of them.
Oh,
It changes every chorus.
Oh, well, it does.
So that is one. Nick, congratulations. You got tickets to Lord. Lord Solar Power Australian Tour kicks off this Friday. Limited tickets are still available. Head to frontiertouring.com for more info. You also get to pick the next song we play. So would you like Ash's song?
Stacey Orico, Stuck.
Or would you like a bit of JoJo?
Oh, definitely JoJo.
JoJo?
Definitely JoJo, yeah, for sure.
All right. Enjoy. Nick, congratulations. This is JoJo. Leave. Get out.
I've been waiting all day for you, babe. So won't you come sit and talk to me? And tell me how we're gonna be together always.
Ash, look, people might know you as the voice of our news
Yeah.
every morning. They hear you, every 15 minutes?
Yeah, it's high rotation across the morning.
And you have a beautiful voice for the news, can I say? Like your news voice is just, you were just born with it, really. But what people might not know about you is you have this fascinating, like, dare I say, double life outside of here, which I'm still getting to know you because we've only just been here for a few months now, Ben, Liam and myself. But you've been at Nova for years. But a lot of people wouldn't know this, that outside of work, what do you do?
Yeah, so I am training for a half Ironman behind the scenes. I've done one. I'm due to do another in the middle of the year, and then I'm going to ramp that up to a full Ironman by the end of the year.
My gosh, so what does a half Ironman entail?
Yeah, so a half Ironman, it's essentially a triathlon. It's a 1.9 kilometre swim, a 90 kilometre bike ride, and then a 21.1 kilometre run.
How long does that take?
So the one I did at the end of last year took me 5 hours and 26 minutes. So you're going for a long time. You're in the water for about half an hour. You're on the bike for about 3 hours. Well, for me, I'm a slower rider, and then the run obviously can take anywhere between an hour 40 to 2 hours.
And that's the half one. So you did a half one last year.
Yeah.
So a full one? Are we talking 10 hours?
Yeah, 10 plus. My partner trains for Ironman as well, and it took him 11 hours to do Cairns in the middle of last year.
My goodness, because you look at you and you look absolutely fit. Like you could just you got your muscles, you got everything going. You go, oh yeah. But Iron Woman is just next level. And the other day we all went for a team lunch even, and you ordered like a chicken parma at the pub,
As you do.
Yeah, and then halfway through you just went, you know what? Later on, I am doing a how many kilometre bike ride and swim?
I had an hour bike ride to do, and then I had swim squad that night as well. So you're swimming for an hour and a half or so out in the bay. And I've got to say on that ride, the chicken parma was really coming back to haunt me because you really crouched over, and so my knees were basically hitting my stomach.
But that's a normal day for you.
Yeah.
Because weekly, I follow you on Insta, and anyone can follow, obviously, Ash Gardner on Insta, and you post your fitness, what you're doing. And the other day you just posted being like, oh, great, just did my ride. ride and swim. And it was like, however many kilometres, the bay swim. So you're in a wetsuit. It's not even in a pool. It's just fascinating. And I don't know how do you balance that with getting in here at, 4 a.m. in the morning?
Yeah, so the alarm obviously to come in here goes off fairly early. We're all in the same boat, about 3:30 start. But then once I finish work around midday, that's kind of where my training kicks off. I am very lucky in that my boyfriend Christian is my coach, a part of the Iron Ryan team. And so we've got this whole team around us. We're all training together because naturally it can be quite an antisocial sport because it is a solo sport. But because we're part of this team, it means that you might be going for a 2-hour run, but you're doing it with your best mates. And so that becomes a part of your social life as well. So I do think that helps the balance. I think the fact that my partner also does it helps with the balance because normally our hours are a bit of a deal breaker for people because we're up so early. But he gets up at the same time because he trains before he goes and does his full-time job.
Right. And so you guys are on opposite schedules?
Yeah. He's an engineer for most part of the day. So he does that from, say, 9 to 5. So he gets up at 3:30 and trains for a few hours before going to work. But it means we're both getting up at the same time. And so I'm heading off to work. He gets his training done. So it means that we're on a similar schedule, I guess, in terms of our getting up and going to bedtime. So that helps.
It is beautiful because you clearly share common interests together and, you probably live a very healthy lifestyle. I don't see you guys sitting on the couch just, chewing on Nando's on a Wednesday night. You're out swimming in the bay. How did you get into this in the first place? Were you always a fit person?
I grew up doing dancing, so that was essentially all I did. And then I got into running maybe 10 years ago. I wanted to give that a bit of a go. And then about a year ago, I was struggling with a few injuries and I couldn't really run and it was getting me down. And my boyfriend suggested, you should try swimming. It might help with the injuries and it's, a way for you to be active but low impact. And I started swimming and I fell in love with it. So I was swimming so often. I wasn't great at it at the start, but I just gave it a go. And through that, my injuries started, getting better and I was able to run again. And then in the end, I was like, well, I've just got the bike leg to add. I may as well just start
riding. Mentality. May as well just add the bike in.
I feel like as I've gotten older, though, I just wanted to try new things. Like I gave footy a go a few years ago and loved it. And I think that made me realise that you may be really bad at it, but it's worth just giving it a go because you don't know. You might find something that you really love and you're actually not bad at. So,
well, next time you hear Ash reading the news, just think of her doing an Iron Woman. And, she's not just the voice that you hear every 15 minutes on Nova, though you do a fantastic job, like I said before. Thank you for shedding a bit of light into your, secret double life that you live. Ash, you're always across the news anyway, regardless. But you saw this story this morning we have to speak about, this woman on AirTasker.
Absolutely. So this woman from the UK living in Sydney has put an ad online asking for someone to come and get a spider out of her home. It was a huntsman. I think people from overseas freak out when they see huntsmen because they're big and hairy. But she's offered someone $50 to come and get the spider out of her apartment because she could not deal with it anymore.
That is great. She must be loaded, surely. I'm fine with spiders. Are you fine with spiders?
Yeah, they don't bother me at all.
Yeah, the only thing I would pay $50 on AirTasker for someone to come and get a moth out of my house because I have a huge phobia of moths. Spider, no worries. Moths, you don't know where they're going. Freaks me out. It actually carries over to butterflies as well. I can't do
And the dust from the moth wings.
Yuck. And then they lay eggs and everything. I hate it. It's the worst.
It is absolutely the worst. But this story got me thinking about a friend of mine who was pretty crafty with how they used AirTasker. They had hooked up with a guy, went back to their place, had a lovely night, but then took off the next day before she could get his name or number or any of the details to remain in contact with him. Got home and thought, I really, really want to stay in touch with this guy. So jumped on AirTasker and paid somebody to write out a cute little note with her name, her number, just something referencing the night before. And this person on AirTasker delivered the note to this guy's house. She went off the Uber receipt and was able to track down his address.
That's creepy.
And then so the note rocked up at his door and he was pretty chuffed by it, actually. He thought it was great.
Did he know it was someone off AirTasker or was it just dropped and he just found it?
It was slid under the front door. So he didn't really know the details of how the note ended up there. she did eventually reveal that to him because there was a bit of back and forth.
Why didn't she want to do it herself?
Well, I think she thought that was creepy, lurking out the front of his house and then dropping the note off herself.
See, I think that's sweet. The creepy side is getting some random to just rock up on his, scooter and be like, here you go, lad.
See, I probably agree, yeah.
That's creepy. Well, look, 132410, if you've got an AirTasker story of something that you got done that's so wild, you got it done on AirTasker, 132410, what did you get air-tasked? Is it, look, if it's like, I got someone to come build a shelf, no, we're not interested in that. If you got something like a spider taken out of your house or a love letter dropped, 132410, what did you get air-tasked? Natasha from Geelong, what did you use AirTasker for?
We had our bins taken out for us. We went on holidays, but there wasn't, you can't really wait 2 weeks to get it taken out. So, and also, with nappies and all that jazz, you don't really want to leave that sort of thing hanging around. So we had somebody come to AirTask our rubbish bin.
Isn't that what neighbours are for, though, Natasha?
Look, these day and age, do people really know their neighbours?
Yeah, true, I guess. I'm about to ask my neighbours to do mine, actually, but now maybe... No, you know what? I don't have that money to actually pay on AirTasker. Natasha, thanks so much for calling up. We'll give you 6 bottles of wine from Zonzo Estate just to make your Wednesday that bit better. Ash, thank you so much for joining me this past hour for International Women's Day. It's been a pleasure getting to know you further as well. If you missed it, we discovered Ash's double life outside of radio as well earlier on. But you will be able to hear Ash doing the news as normal from just after 7 o'clock. Before you go, though, I'd love to know, is there anyone you'd like to give a special shout out to today for International Women's Day?
Yeah, I know International Women's Day is all about celebrating the women in our life, but I do think it's not just about women. It is also about men, because I think it's really important we have allies in the space when it comes to championing equality. And I think my dad has actually been one of the biggest influences in my life in calling out inequality, even just as a little kid. Things like there wasn't a basketball team for my sister to play on. She wanted to play with the boys, and he went and fought to have the rules changed so that she was allowed to play with the boys. And he has always done that, and that's just something that's been a mainstay of our childhood and growing up.
I'm guessing he's not the type of dad, though, that then would say something like, you play like a girl or something like that,
Never.
That's so good to have that support. Well, Ash, thank you so much for co-hosting with me. And like I said, people can hear you doing the news from 7 a.m. I'll be joined by Bridget Hustwaite after this.
Ben, Liam and Belle, celebrating International Women's Day.
Good morning. Yes, happy International Women's Day. It is just myself, Belle here, no Ben or Liam on air this morning, but you're in for a special treat because right now until 8 a.m, we are joined by the legend Bridget Hustwaite.
Hey, good morning.
Now, Bridget, your voice might be familiar to people because you've come from Triple J. You were there for a fair few years, actually alongside myself and Ben and Liam. We were all Triple J heads.
Yeah, the gang spoke together.
Yeah, but I was a producer, so I was behind the scenes. We've never actually been on air together.
We've never had an on-air moment, which is so crazy, but I'm so stoked to be here. And I'm not usually a morning girly because I would be on in the evenings. I would literally walk into the building as you guys would walk out. So how nice is this? Despite it being 7 a.m, it's fine.
We'll get you a coffee soon, don't worry. But thanks for coming in so early. You're also author, also podcaster, and just a good friend of mine. And when I thought of International Women's Day, I thought of you straight away and how fantastic it would be to do a show together. But the boys are here. Don't worry. They did not get a day off this morning. Ben is pushing the buttons.
Hello there.
And Liam, if you call in on 132410 this morning, Liam's doing the phones. So if you call in, you might get him. If you've checked your phone this morning, you may have seen the huge Bindi Irwin news. She posted on socials a photo of her in hospital, and she said that she's actually been fighting fatigue, pain and nausea for over 10 years. This is the first we're hearing of it. She's always been very bright, bubbly, very positive person, and she's said in her caption as well, it's been a real struggle to be that positive person through all this pain. She's also said that it's endometriosis. Now, Bridget, you know all about endo.
Yeah, I have endometriosis as well, Belle. I was diagnosed in 2018. I know I've spent a lot of time researching. I mean, I put out a book in 2021 called How to Endo. So yeah, reading this news from Bindi is, I can relate so much, but I'm not surprised in the way in which she kind of articulated how she's been feeling. Because when we think of Bindi, as you mentioned, bright, bubbly, like
always
life
smiling,
of the party.
like, everything's fine.
Yeah, so positive. And just to think of what she's been dealing with internally, like I relate so hard to that. So yeah, I mean, I'm so happy for her though. It's such a bittersweet thing getting an endo diagnosis because, 10 years for hers. It took me 12 years. The average in Australia is 6.5 years to get an endo diagnosis.
Is that because you just go, oh, it's whatever, it's just pain, or why?
It's just so misunderstood.
Yeah,
so,
right.
And it's because it's an invisible illness essentially. So you can't see it from the external, and you look at Bindi and you think she's a, really
Bindi
healthy,
and yourself, Bridget,
person.
you're the same. If anyone knows or sees you, you are the most smiley person.
You can hear my dimples from a mile away.
Yes. So for anyone listening that doesn't know what endo is, can we get a 101?
Absolutely. And it's such an important question, to understand the actual definition of endometriosis. So endometriosis is a chronic condition, and it's where tissue similar to the lining of the uterus grows outside of the uterus.
Right.
Yes. So it can cause pain, inflammation. It can cause organs to stick together.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There's no cure. There's no known cause. But it affects 1 in 9 Australians.
So the symptoms like pain, fatigue and all of that just all comes with it. Like you've got this severe kind of, is it like concentrated pain on where that tissue is, or is it just your whole body?
It can vary. It's so different for people, and there's such a range of symptoms. So Bindi mentioned her nausea, her fatigue. Fatigue's a really big one. She mentioned pain. She didn't specify period pain. So the thing is with endo, a lot of people will associate it with our periods, and a bad, heavy, painful period is a common symptom, but it's not the be-all, end-all defining factor. It's not just a bad period, essentially. Some people I know with endo don't even have bad periods. For me, that was my main symptom, but it can, go between having pain during sex or pain whilst emptying your bladder or passing bowel movements.
Right. Oh my God, it's everywhere.
It's actually been found, this is a huge, bombshell, endometriosis has been found in every major organ of the body. So it factually isn't just a reproductive issue.
Right.
Because it happens outside of the
So it could
uterus.
be on your liver. It could be on your lungs.
Diaphragm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, okay, Bindi has had a child.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. Am I correct in saying it's less likely for you to be able to give birth if you have endo?
Yeah, so up to 50% of people with endometriosis will face fertility struggles. It doesn't happen, you don't know until you try, but for, a lot of people it can be a difficult thing trying to conceive. And for some people when having a baby, it may relieve some pain and symptoms.
Right.
But again, there's no cure for endo. So sometimes doctors will say, go have a child now. Or on the complete opposite, will say you need a hysterectomy. Both don't cure endometriosis, and they're both very extreme, life-changing decisions.
So with no set cure, how are you managing yours, and how would Bindi now, what's her next step?
I think it's important to take like a multidisciplinary approach. So things like pelvic floor physio, maybe speaking to, a nutritionist or something about making diet changes, maybe a sexologist if painful sex is an issue for you. A psychologist is also major. Some people like acupuncture or traditional Chinese medicine. It really differs for everyone because it's such a individualized, personalized disease, right?
Yeah.
For me, fortunately, mine is manageable in the sense that my main symptom is my bad period, but my period's very regular. So I can plan ahead. If I got my period next weekend, I'm not seeing you, Belle, I'm being a hermit. Catch a nana at home.
and you have said to me before when we made plans, you're like, no, I've just got my period, so I'm just warning you. And I was like, I respect that. I respect you going heads up, this is a thing, and you can read your body so well and you know what's best for you. It seems like you are doing a great job with it and spreading awareness as well. Like you said, you've written a book. You've also got a podcast.
Yeah, literally just yesterday I released an episode which is called What You Need to Know About Endometriosis. So look it up, Figuring Out 30.
Yeah. Bridget, if people don't know you, you're your own boss now. You're just doing everything. Absolutely. But you're radio host, author. You've also got your own podcast called Figuring Out 30.
Yeah, podcast is out. It's a little weekly offering, a little weekly moment, kind of exploring the chaos and confusion and the clarity that comes with 30. Because when I turned 30, it was one hell of a time, Belle. How old are you? Have you turned 30 yet?
No, I'm 28.
Oh.
I'm turning 29 this year.
Oh.
And I'm already like, I'm so nervous. Do I have a kid? What do I do? I don't know. Because in my head, I'm still pretty old school. I'm like, 30 means married and children. And
we treat it like a deadline, right?
Yeah. But then I look at you and I'm like, well, because you're 31 now?
Yeah, about to turn 32. no maternal bone in my body yet.
Yeah, but you look about 22 as well, so you got that. But yeah, no, I'm 28, so I'm feeling like this is a pretty crucial part of my life, but I'm also panicking.
I mean, don't panic, but like you're creeping up to your Saturn return. Do you know what your Saturn return is?
See, I've heard it before. Saturn return. I've heard that thrown around. Couldn't tell you what it is.
So, I mean, I don't want to like alarm you or anything. Maybe it's just like a little heads up. Have you felt like, I feel like your life has started to change quite a bit. You just moved from Adelaide back home to Melbourne. You're on air now, big career changes. Saturn return, it kind of happens around 29 and a half, right?
Okay.
So it's meant to be like this big monumental shift. Technically what it is, it's when the planet Saturn returns to the exact degree of the same sign that it was in when you were born. So Saturn takes approximately 29 years to move through all of the zodiac. So for you, maybe at the end of the year, if you notice some other shifts happening in your life, apparently it can start to happen up to like 2 to 3 years before your actual Saturn return.
Okay, I was going to say, because everything's going really well for me at the moment.
And big things so, right?
Yeah. Like you said, I've moved back to Melbourne, which has been fantastic. I've been promoted to on air, which has just been the best. I've found, dare I say, like the love of my life.
Yeah.
We are so happy together. We just bought a house together. And all this stuff is happening that I'm like, surely something has to go wrong soon. Well,
it doesn't have to be a bad thing, your Saturn return. It just kind of brings about a time to reflect and slow down, and then you figure out, okay, what am I about? What am I focusing on in life? So lucky you, I would say your Saturn return has started, and it sounds stunning.
So it's not the fact that in a year it's all going to fall apart and everything's... Oh, no! Well, what was yours? What did you have?
Oh, babe, I got dumped 6 weeks before I turned 30. 5-year relationship ended. 3 weeks into a new lease. So we just moved into a new place.
No.
It was also 6 days before my book came out, which was a really crazy time. So I'm doing like back-to-back book press, doing live radio every night, mending a broken heart. And then the day that my book came out, Michael Gudinski passed away, and we were working together on The Sound, an ABC music show. So we were pretty tight, and it was devastating.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, like shit hit the fan for me pre-30, but I feel like my life is in a really good place right now.
Okay.
So it was pretty hectic. I kind of look back and I'm like, that was a time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of just set me on the path.
But you've come out much better.
Yeah, she's thriving.
And now you got a podcast that you can just totally like get into with all of this stuff. It's been great content for you. Yes. Well, I mean, I'm only just learning what Saturn return is this morning. If you are too, maybe you're looking back, if you've just turned 30, or maybe you're in that zone kind of 28, 29 at the moment. 13, 24, 10. What was your Saturn return?
Yeah.
Did you have a crisis, or was it something fantastic? It's just Belle here, joined by Bridget Hustwaite.
Sorry, I'm doing background noise like, yeah, woo!
I love it. You're a hype girl. And we're currently talking, so I'm 28 years old and Bridget, you're 31.
Yeah.
You have a podcast called Figuring Out 30, so all about like, you cover everything from finances to love to everything, jobs.
Yeah, just life stuff, because that transition into your 30s is when you really start to think about those things, and especially as women, we feel that pressure and that deadline, the expectation to have it all done, by the age of 30. So,
and it can be even more tough when someone like yourself has a stumble at 29.
Gets your ass dumped.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Exactly. And many other things that happen. So if you listening this morning, if you are kind of aged between 28 to maybe in your 30s or even past, and you had what we call Saturn
return.
And you've only just taught me about this morning. So it's when you're 29-ish, Saturn is in the same place that it was when you were born, and it's usually when shit goes down.
Yeah, and Saturn kind of is almost like a personal trainer, or just like a strict teacher, just getting you into line, being like, this is what's happening. You need to ffigure out like where you want to go from now on in, and just, get your life together, and it's all on you pretty much.
Yeah. So like you touched on before, you broke up. Well, you lost your partner, and then you just had all this other stuff happen. I'm coasting at the moment. I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit worried now. Now, Ash in the newsroom, you have told us as well, you had a Saturn return.
I did, and I didn't realise it had a name, but in the year leading up to my 30th, it was super tumultuous. I found out my partner of 7 years was cheating on me while we're in the midst of buying a house together. So I had to pull the offer out. My dad was also diagnosed with cancer around that time and went through, he's all well and good now, but it was just this crazy year that I was like, what is going on? Everything was flipped on its head.
Mm-hmm. And it all comes together, and it's like back to back to back, you were like, when is it going to end?
Yeah.
How are you feeling now, though?
I was going to say, though, I feel like that year was super beneficial for me because I've evolved since then. I love my life now so much, and I realise the life I was living then doesn't compare to the life I've got now. So I'm actually, it was a hard process to go through, but I'm better for it.
That's your Saturn return, babe.
There you go. We're all learning this morning. Shannon in Mornington, what was your Saturn return?
Hey, ladies. Happy International Women's Day.
Shannon.
Love it. So my Saturn return was a bit like, it was, I realised and finally admitted that I had a massive eating disorder, and I didn't want to live like that anymore. So I was bulimic for about 13 years. Really, really hating on myself and self-hate and zero self-esteem. And I got to about 28, 29 and realised I don't want to live like this anymore. I think I'm better than this. So I admitted it. I went through a bunch of therapy. I owned it, and I did so much self-discovery, self-healing, self-love. Oh, my God, what an amazing thing to have, and came out the other side to be able to progress on with my career, progress on with love. I have a family now. It changed my life for the better. It was hard. It was really hard going through it and realising I needed to do that. But what a journey to come out the other side. Such a well-adjusted, amazing woman.
That is incredible. So, Shannon, you've had the positive change in your life for your Saturn return. So, Bridget, you were saying before it doesn't have to be negative. It can be good stuff. And you've made this giant change in your life, Shannon, for obviously much better. Huge congratulations.
You sound like you're glowing, girl.
Yeah, you sound fantastic. And especially 13 years, that's super tough.
Amazing now. Life is so amazing.
Can I ask, Shannon, how old are you now?
I'm 35, about to turn 36. So I've been rocking a new life for a good 5 years now. And in that time, I found the love of my life. Yay. We were engaged. I changed careers. I went from an amazing job to an outstanding dream job. And I couldn't have done any of those sorts of things if I didn't love myself, if I didn't know who I was or... if I was constantly doubting myself and doubting every single decision I was making because I was just so full of self-hate and self-doubt. It completely flips now. Life is so
Shannon, good on you.
How good is that too, Belle? Like, prime example, 30s is not anything to be afraid of. Like, she's living her best life in her mid-30s.
Okay, this is, to be honest, Bridget, this is like so helpful this morning for me. Honestly, this is a bit of therapy for me. Jane in Phillip Island. Jane, what happened? What was your Saturn return? What happened when you were turning 30?
A lot.
Okay. I take it probably not super positive.
I always say it wasn't Saturn return, it was Mars, bringer of war.
All right, Jane, what happened?
Well, basically, I found out. So I had a lady turn up at my door and go, "I'm your half sister, and my dad and your mum had an affair, and you're the result."
Hang on, so Jane, sorry, you're saying that you were the result of the affair?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And I'd never been told. It was always kept a big secret. And there was a lot of fallout from that to the point that the guy that had raised me disowned me.
Wow.
And around this time, I also met the man that I went on to marry, who turned out to be a horrible narcissist. The silver lining in all of this was I have 3 amazing children because you often look back and you go, oh, God, what if I never met him?
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And then I think, then I wouldn't have my kids.
Yeah.
And they're great people, and it was really good. And I read a quote recently, and I thought, oh, yeah, that's so true. It's don't be unhappy when you're dealt bad cards. They make you a better player.
Oh, my God, I love that.
Is good.
Okay, life coach. I love it.
And like some of the other ladies have sort of said was like, yeah, it's hard when you're going through it and you're like, what the hell? And it just seems to go on and you're like, far out. But you do come out a much better, stronger person. So,
absolutely.
and I always sort of think we don't learn we don't learn much from the great happy things that happen in our lives. It's when we're challenged.
Yes.
And that forces us to grow. So,
Good on you, Jane.
Yeah, Jane, thanks for calling up and and sharing that this morning. I mean, look, hey, we'll make it better for you. We'll send you along to Lord this Friday.
Yeah.
I have been joined by some fantastic women all morning. Currently, Bridget Hustwaite, but you're about to head on out of here, sadly.
I'm going to love you and leave you. What a hoot, though.
It's been very, very fun. And like we've said, like we know each other, just in our personal lives, but it's been great having this on-air time with you.
Yay.
Before you go, who would you like to shout out today for International Women's Day?
Gosh, the first that I think of, it's not one singular person, it's a collective, Belle. I want to give a massive shout out to the fangirls out there. We've got so much live music happening in Australia at the moment. We've had Ed Sheeran, we've had Harry Styles, and I was lucky enough to go to both of those shows, and I think they served as just really wholesome reminders as to how powerful young women are, passionate young female music fans, and we tend to, look down on them, and, when we talk about fangirls, it's like Harry Styles mania, or girls are hysterical, using those kind of words. We never say that about men who are passionate about sports or love their guitar bands or whatever.
That is very true,
right?
Bridge.
But
That's
we
really true.
Always look down on fangirls, and I just want to give them a massive shout out because they are the people who keep the music industry afloat. These are the girlies who are rocking up to the merch stands, who are buying the pre-sale tickets, who are lining up at 8 a.m, 9 a.m. They're your daughters that you're dropping off to school right now, and they're not, they're there because they genuinely like you and they feel some sort of way. And I think we also look at fangirls and think, oh, they just want to marry them. No, we just love music and the stories that songs tell and the stories and the songs that comfort us.
And feel that connection with the artist that
it's really
you love.
powerful.
Well, Bridge, you said, so you went to Ed Sheeran and Harry Styles. Would you say, is that the biggest fangirl you've been, or who was your biggest fangirl era for?
Oh my gosh. I mean, my Harry Styles, funnily enough, growing up was this guy called Ryan Cabrera, and he used to date Ashley Simpson. And then he dated Lisa from the Veronicas, and he was meant to support the Veronicas on tour when I was in year 10, and weeks before they were meant to do that tour, they broke up, and I was devastated.
But you just loved him.
Yeah, I really loved his music, and I love Harry, I love One Direction, I love the 1975. I love going to those shows where there is a young female audience because the atmosphere is so incredible. You can, the fun thing about Harry, everyone goes and dresses up in feather boas and cowboy hats and glitter and sparkles, and it's just a really wholesome, fun moment. That's what live music should be. So the fangirls.
Yes, Harry Styles is fantastic, but it's nothing on Jonas Brothers, which was my fangirl era.
Kevin or Joe?
Nick, always, and then Joe, and then, sad for Kevin. But Bridget, thank you so much for spending the last hour with me. If you do want to listen to Bridget's podcast, Figuring Out 30, it's a weekly episode drop, isn't it?
Yeah, girl.
All about figuring out everything when you turn 30. Thank you so much. After this, I'm going to be joined by Georgie Tunny from The Project.
Yay!
Ben, Liam and Belle celebrating International Women's Day.
Yes, good morning. You are listening to Nova, and happy International Women's Day. Oh, see, Ben's on the buttons this morning and he's just a bit slow.
I apologise.
We talked about this, Ben.
I apologise.
I'll do it again. Oh, there you go.
All right, here we go.
Happy International Women's Day. So it's just been me, Belle, the 1/3 of Ben, Liam and Belle all morning. But yes, Ben is doing the buttons still. Liam is doing the phones. If you call in 13 24 10, you might chat to Liam. And I've been joined all morning, every hour, by a different guest / co-host. And for the next hour, I am so excited to be joined by the wonderful Georgie Tunny from The Project. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Thank you, Ben. I would never say a bad word against you. I think your button pressing skills are amazing.
So, Georgie, people would know you from their TV screens, but super quickly, what else do we need to know about you?
I am obsessed with sport. I'm the biggest sports fan, have been ever since I was little, obsessed with the Olympics. I've never been very good at sport, so that's probably a nice fun fact. Also can't ride a bike.
Really?
Never got one. Never had a bike.
Surely that's something you'll do on The Project. Like, all right, and today,
I think
top news.
It could be. Look, it could be a story in the works of me getting taught how to ride a bike. That could be something coming up. What else do I like? I'm basically an 80-year-old in a 32-year-old's body because. Thank you,
Ben.
thank you. Because I love British crime shows and knitting.
Mate, I only listen to like true crime stuff, and I mean, obviously, I listen to Nova 24/7. But when I'm not, true crime podcast.
25/7, a little bit of true crime. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for coming in this morning and for co-hosting with me for the next hour. We're going to be joined by a few people that we also want to give shout-outs to for International Women's Day. And up next, though, we need to get into your personal life again, Georgie. I'm so sorry. Because we're going to do a round of trivial disputes. This is Queen Bee herself, Run the World Girls. Georgie, you're going to be here for the next hour co-hosting with me.
Yes. Strap yourself in, Belle. Who knows?
Oh, you're a pro.
There's so many buttons here, though, that I don't usually get to see, right? So I could press
true.
anything.
Now, something that people might not know about you is you're actually engaged to Rob Millsy Mills.
I am.
Australian golden child. But it may look like you have the most beautiful relationship, which I'm sure you do, but everybody in every relationship has their own trivial disputes.
It's trivial. It's trivial. It's trivial disputes.
It is something we love doing here at Nova every so often. We share our trivial disputes. If you've had a huge argument over something really small, really trivial, and it's just, maybe it resulted in you having a, just not talking for a day or a huge fight. Everybody has them. 13 24 10. Give us a buzz with yours and we'll put you in the draw for Nova's First Class and 50K. One that I've been having with my partner Luke since day one together is in the shower. We sometimes have a bar of soap.
Yes.
And I will put it in my hands, rub it around in my hands, and then put it back on the shelf and then just use my hands to lather up.
Okay.
He grabs the bar and just rubs the bar all around his body.
Okay.
Which stresses me out because he always keeps dropping it. And then he goes, oh, picks it up and then, I make the usual drop soap, but, he'll drop it 3 times while he's washing himself, get really frustrated. And I'm like, mate, if you just put it in your hand, rub it around and put it back and then use your hands to lather, you're fine.
Oh, I'm with Luke on this one.
Really?
Yeah, sorry. That's weird from you. That's weird.
Did you ever have, actually, now that I think about it, do you remember growing up, there was the soap, what was it? Was it Johnson? I can't remember, they brought it out. There was a soap with it was wrapped in like the netting and it was like the non-slip netting.
So yes, I remember that. I also remember, and maybe it was a Brisbane thing because I'm a Queenslander, but Imperial Lather was like the fancy soap.
Yes.
And when you had that, you were like, oh my gosh, we're doing well.
We are doing well.
Still dropping it. But you need to do that because it's the fragrance that you want, right? It will stay on your body.
Yeah, but it's
you're just lathering it up.
No, but you're putting the fragrance on anyway.
No.
Oh,
no,
my God.
No, absolutely not. We're in our own dispute right now.
What about with your relationship with Rob? What's some things that you just cannot see eye to eye on?
Most recently, we have got into this habit of having a bit of phone tag between each other, and we will both get irrationally furious. I say rationally furious when we call the other person, they don't answer.
Yes.
And it's like Robert literally said to me the other day, he's like, this might sound ridiculous, but can you just drop absolutely everything that you were doing right now and take my phone call? And I was like, that is ridiculous. And he's like, I know. But he has this whole thing where he wants my phone to be on loud.
Yeah.
It's always on silent.
Yeah.
Because
that's fair.
even any tone, I get freaked out. Like it's just, I don't know,
but
if it's working in media, you always have to have your phone on silent, like all of this. But to the point where he's like, you do realise that the setting isn't loud. It's just on.
No.
You just call it loud.
No. See, you said just before you're like kind of 80-year-old inside,
Yes.
but that's 80-year-old behaviour being like, no, I need to have my phone on loud. My mum actually, she has her phone on loud and she also has the flashlight flash when it rings. Oh my
gosh, no.
And it stresses me out and it goes...
Epileptic warning every time.
Yes, absolutely.
Are you a cyclist at night? Why do you need it? Why do you need it?
13 24 10. Let us know your trivial dispute. This hour I'm joined by Georgie Tunny from The Project.
Yes.
Biggest T-Swift fan ever. Sorry, I'm laughing, but that whole song, you were singing all the lyrics.
It's like I created my own choreo as well. Just like dancing for every single lyric. I love it. Bridget was on before shouting out fangirls and I was like, she sees me. It's me. Because I am a diehard Swiftie.
Can I say what you just said off air though, which was, I said, what did you think about the video clip for Antihero? And you said, what did you say? I'm beyond the point of
being critical. Can't be critical. Like I'm at a stage where she could kill someone and I'd be like, well, did they deserve it? Maybe. I don't know.
It's great. I love it. So, yeah, Georgie, you're here till 9 a.m. for International Women's Day. At the moment, we are doing trivial disputes.
It's trivial disputes.
Dan in Heidelberg, what's your trivial dispute? Huge fight over something small.
Well, basically, when we first got married, I think it was the first time we had a salad, and I said to my wife, what's going on with these onions? How'd you cut the onions? And she's basically diced them, and I usually slice them. And we just argued over that. And I think what topped it is I said, my mum usually slices.
Oh, you didn't, Dan.
Dan, you had me until that point.
So,
hold on a sec. I do make my own salad as well.
So has she now, because you brought out, the mum line, does she now, just to annoy you, still dice them?
It comes out all the time. She goes, you want to go home and spend your time with your mum? It always happens. And the first time it happened, we argued. We didn't talk for about a day. Just over that.
God. Dan, I'm getting deja vu. I've had this exact conversation with Robert before, except not onion, carrot. He likes carrot in salads, but not like shredded or whatever grated carrot.
Wait,
He'll just dice it.
Raw?
Raw carrot.
What?
Thank you. That is the face. That is the face that, yes, the only acceptable face. He was like, it's delicious. I was like, it doesn't make any sense.
It means that if you're chewing through your salad, you're just hitting rocks the
Yes,
whole
the
time.
whole time. The whole time.
Rowena in Rowville, fitting name. Good morning. What's your trivial dispute?
My trivial dispute is the order in which we actually do the supermarket shopping. We are completely opposite in the way we walk around the supermarket, to the point that I actually leave him to do the shopping and I wait outside for him.
Where do you start? Hang on. Rowena, I need more details. Where do you start? Are you starting in the frozen aisle? Are you starting in the fruit? I start in the fruit.
No. You leave frozen to last.
Yes.
It makes sense.
Yes.
So to me, you do the fruit and veggies, you do your groceries in the middle, and then your frozen.
Yes. I didn't realise there was another way.
Yeah, well, neither did I until I went shopping with my husband.
Well, hang on.
And then...
But Rowena and Georgie, yes, that makes sense. That's how they lay out the supermarket, is it not? They lay it out so when you enter, they go, all right, here's your fresh produce. Okay, now you need your other essentials. And then the frozen is always down the end. They literally lay it out like that.
Would you say that your husband is contrarian, Rowena? Does he just do this so it's just like, well, stuff you, I'm not doing what you want me to do?
No. He swears by it. So if that's his thing and he wants to do the groceries, then I will let him go ahead and do that.
Sure. Yeah, okay, I guess so, Rowena. Thank you so much for giving us a buzz. You're in the draw for Nova's First Class and 50K. If you are a musical head, you would be very aware.
Term. Love it.
You'd be very aware that tomorrow night is the opening night for the brand new show And Juliet. It's the musical that tells the alternate ending of the story of Romeo and Juliet, where Romeo dies and Juliet goes on to absolutely slay in life. The actress who plays Juliet is Lorinda May Merrypor, and she joins us now. Good morning, Lorinda.
Good morning.
Hello, Lorinda. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day. And this day, you came into my mind straight away for this morning because, like I just said there, this musical And Juliet, which is opening tomorrow night here in Melbourne, you play Juliet in it. And this whole story is, just about Juliet absolutely taking the forefront and going, you know what, I'm not going to poison myself and die, and I'm actually going to go on and live my life. How fun is this role, and how much have you absolutely felt honoured by it?
Oh, it's genuinely the most fun I've ever had on stage. I've been on stage since I was 5 years old. So I absolutely love doing this show, and this role is just so incredibly special to play. And especially at this point in my life, I'm 26, and getting to play a role like Juliet, she's so sure of herself. She's so confident. She knows exactly what she wants, and she's not afraid to go 100% for it. And that's something that, I find super inspiring about her. And it's just really cool to play such, a strong, confident woman.
Would you describe yourself, Lorinda, as strong and confident before this role came into your life? What were you like as a person?
I don't know if I would say strong. I mean, sometimes. But I think I was confident in a kind of delusional way. I just kind of went with the flow, and I was like, I'm sure things will work out, But this role and doing this show and being working with incredible creatives like Anna Fox, who's the associate director from the UK, who came over and was working on us with the show, it just has really given me so much strength, actually. Things Juliet says, she vows to be confident and to do what she wants and not worry about what she's afraid of, and things like that have totally, I think, shaped me so much over the past 2 months working on this show.
Well, for people that don't know as well, this musical, it's not just a remake of Romeo and Juliet with the old kind of music or anything. You're singing like iconic pop songs. You've got Hit Me Baby One More Time. You've got I Want It That Way. The soundtrack of the last 20 years of just pop music. What's your favourite song to sing in the musical?
Oh my gosh, I sing almost 20 songs in the show, and so my favourite changes all the time. But I think at the moment it's probably Stronger by Britney Spears.
Oh, great.
Which is just it's so amazing. It comes at like a really dramatic and like pivotal moment for Juliet in her life, and it's when she, I think, like really stands up to every single person in her life, which is just, it's so fun to play.
Now, Lorinda, I've had the privilege of seeing this musical, and Stronger is amazing. And at the end, you do this insane high note and run. How is your voice holding up? Because 20 songs is ridiculous, and you were on that stage for pretty much the entire 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's honestly massive. And at the moment, because we're still kind of rehearsing during the days and we're getting ready for opening night, so it's pretty tiring at the moment, not going to lie. But I've got like the most incredible support network here that have really just helped me get through these past 2 months. But I'm really excited to finally get into those show weeks now. I never thought I would think 8 shows a week was kind of easy.
Well,
I feel
Lorinda,
like it will be in comparison.
I really hope you are looking after yourself off the stage as well and taking care of yourself. It's been an honour to be joined by you this morning for International Women's Day. All the very best with the musical. And Juliet is at the Regent Theatre until May. You can get your tickets from Ticketek. Lorinda, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
What I've been doing all morning with everybody that's been coming through is at the end of the hour that you've co-hosted with me, I've been asking who your shout out for the day is, who you'd like to put a spotlight on. So we had, in 6 o'clock, I had Ash Gardner co-hosting. She actually put the spotlight on her dad, saying that he always encouraged her and really supported her throughout life. Bridget Hustwaite from 7 till 8, she shouted out fangirls. But Georgie Tunny, can you tell me who you'd like to shout out today?
I'm going to shout out the ultimate boss, and who I think just represents absolutely everything that is most fantastic about, one, being a woman, but being a woman in a man's world, and a man's world being the sporting world.
Yes.
And that is the president of the Melbourne Football Club and my friend, Kate Roffey.
Kate Roffey joins us now on the line. Good morning, Kate.
Oh, good morning. And Georgie, my lovely Georgie, how wonderful to hear that from you. That's as great a testimonial as I've ever had, I think.
And Kate, I mean, I actually learnt, Georgie, when you told me about your role, Kate, I didn't know that the president of the Melbourne Football Club is a woman.
Yeah.
So, Kate Roffey, how long have you been in this role for?
So this is coming into my 3rd year now as president. I'm our first president in the, I think, 165-year history of the club. So it took a little while, but we finally got there. And I'm our first men's premiership president in 57 years and our first ever women's premiership president. So
absolutely.
That's what I mean, boss.
To be here.
Boss. That's the definition of boss. Kate
I can
Roffey.
see
it's your
why
photo in the dictionary.
Today, like, Georgie, you want to shout out Kate. Incredible work. So, Kate, being a woman really high up in the sporting world, what's the biggest hurdle that you've faced?
I think part of it is just the getting there. I'll have a lot of dads actually come up with their daughters and say, "Oh, can my daughter have a photo with you?" She's so inspired to go on and do things, and I understand how difficult it can be to get to these positions and how uncomfortable it can be. And given it's International Women's Day, and happy IWD to everyone, but I've been doing talks for about 3 weeks on diversity and leadership, so it's become International Women's Month. But one of those things I say to women who are coming through, or anyone from a diverse background, is you will be uncomfortable. There are periods where you're uncomfortable just because you're the first, or because you're new, or because it's different and people need to get used to that. But you just sit there and in that discomfort when you're a first, you accept that it's going to be uncomfortable, because my job purely is to get me as far as I can to clear the path for all the other people who are going to come after me, and to make the path as clear as I can so they don't have to do what I've done. They can go forward and do more like all those wonderful women who came before me, cleared a path for me.
So in the last few years, we've seen the real rise of the AFLW. Kate, were you president when the AFLW really started coming up?
No, so I've been on the board for nearly 10 years now. So I was on the board of our club when AFL women started. But I had worked with our AFL women and our VFL women before that for years, way back when I was a CEO at Big Sports 20 years ago. And that was when people like Deb Lee and Daisy was, just starting to play back then. They were coming through the system and saying, how do we actually get recognised just as a women's sport, not something like a professional women's sport like it is now. And so this has been going on for a long, long time. And I used to go to our exhibition matches and watch before we became AFLW. So I've been part of that journey certainly ever since AFLW was introduced.
I can vouch for that, Kate. I don't know if you remember some of our conversations, but I remember when the Ds were struggling, well before they were premiership winning team, the men's team, and you were like, oh yeah, but we've really got to focus on the women. The women's where it's at. Like we're going to be a huge contender in this space as well. And then it was like a couple of seasons later, and bam, you delivered.
There you go. Well, Kate? What's your biggest piece of advice for any young female listening today that really wants to make it in the sporting world? Not particularly AFL, but maybe. What would your one biggest piece of advice be?
I think it's just you get your skills up, all young people, get your skills, understand, find out what you do and don't like doing, and then set yourself on that path and just keep chugging on through those uncomfortable and difficult times, because they'll happen to everyone and they happen to anyone from diverse or minority groups, unfortunately, but keep chipping away, because we're all links in this chain and we're all pulling that massive rock up the hill, and if we all keep pulling away, we'll eventually get there, and we won't have to have an IWD International Women's Day anymore, because it won't be required. Equity is there, and we can start working on other diversity issues, but we're not quite there yet.
Well, as a fellow Demons fangirl alongside
I found
Georgie.
Another one, Kate. I found another one. This was so fortuitous.
That's right. Georgie's on the lookout for me. So,
she,
fabulous always to talk to our Demon Army.
Absolutely. No, Demons supporter through and through. My whole family is. So it's an absolute honour to be joined by you this morning, Kate. And happy International Women's Day.
You're a legend, Roffey.
Thanks. See you later. Lovely to chat.
Hey, so that actually wraps up our whole hour and show this morning. Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
great.
Georgie, I'd be more than happy. I mean, with the boys.
Oh, thank you,
Ben is on the button still.
So good.
But look, hey, I'm happy to do the show with you from now on in. Liam can stay out on the phones. He's done an okay job. Ben's just trying to weasel his way in with the sound effect.
Can I say, it is great that you are here, because when I was listening before I came in and Belle was like, oh yeah, Ben and Liam are on the buttons, they're on like behind the scenes. I was like, there's no way, they're asleep. And then Liam came and got me from reception. I was like, oh my God, you are here. Hey.
They went and got coffees. Yeah. It's been fantastic. But I cannot thank you enough for joining me the last hour. And thank you as well to Bridget Hustwaite and to Ash Gardner and to everybody that has joined me today for this very, very important day. Please remember that today is not just about celebrating women and what we can achieve, but also spreading that message that, you often hear men say, what about International Men's Day and what about us men?
It's every day.
But yeah, exactly. And it's all about just saying that we can do everything. We're not asking you to drop everything and go, oh, okay, fine, you want it to be all about women. We're not asking for that. We're just asking for you to acknowledge that we are just as good as anybody else and we can do anything. Mm-hmm. And yes, we still have a day to ourselves for this, but it's very, very important that you, just give a little extra bit of encouragement and support to every special woman in your life today. Thank you so much, Georgie, for joining me.
Thank you.
And the boys will be back tomorrow. Have a great day.
For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcasts.com.au.